You're not alone if the first thing that crossed your mind this offseason was, wait, could Deebo actually come back? Because that's exactly where a lot of Niners fans are right now. A potential reunion with Deebo Samuel is starting to float around the rumor mill, and anytime you bring up Deebo and San Francisco in the same sentence, emotions run high. Before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications because we're pushing hard toward 1,000 subscribers and I've got daily Niners coverage coming your way. Now let's talk about it honestly. Deebo Samuel was once one of the most electric players in football. That 2021 season still feels unreal. He was lining up everywhere, breaking tackles, taking handoffs out of the backfield, and completely changing how defenses had to play the 49ers. At his peak, Deebo wasn't just a wide receiver. He was a matchup nightmare and a weekly game changer. Fast forward to now, and the idea of a reunion is interesting, but it comes with some real questions. Deebo just put together a solid season with Washington. He played 16 games, caught over 70 passes, totaled more than 700 receiving yards, added rushing production, and finished with 6 total touchdowns. When you watch the tape, you still see flashes. He's still physical, he's still tough to bring down. He can still make defenders miss in space, but let's be real with each other. He's not the same explosive player he once was, he's lost a step, and that matters in Kyle Shanahan's offense. On top of that, the injury history hasn't gone away, and age is starting to creep into the conversation. And that leads to the bigger picture. The 49ers offense is getting old. Trent Williams is nearing the end of his career. George Kittle is entering his early 30s. Christian McCaffrey is approaching the danger zone for running backs. Even if you love Deebo, bringing him back doesn't help San Francisco get younger or faster. In fact, it pushes them further in the opposite direction, so I want to hear from you right now. Would you welcome Deebo back in red and gold? Type R for reunion or un for no in the comments. And while you're there, drop your favorite Deebo moment too. I'll be reading through them. There's also the financial side. Deebo isn't coming cheap. Any team that signs him, it's likely paying real money for what he's done, not necessarily what he's going to be 2 years from now. For a 49ers team that already has big contracts on the books, that's a serious factor. Personally, as much as I respect what Deebo brought to this franchise, I'm leaning toward moving on. Nostalgia can't drive roster decisions, especially when you're trying to close the gap on the best teams in the NFC, and that brings us to something even more important than a Deebo reunion. If the Niners are serious about contending again, it starts up front. Because before you add weapons, you have to fix the foundation. Coming up next, we're talking about why spending big at center, specifically on Tyler Linderbaum, might be the smartest move San Francisco can make this offseason. Before San Francisco even thinks about adding another wide receiver, they have to address the real issue that showed up over and over again this season: the offensive line. More specifically, the interior of the offensive line. You saw it with your own eyes. Down the stretch, especially against elite competition, the Niners were getting pushed around up front. That can't happen if you're serious about Super Bowl aspirations. Those final matchups against Seattle told the entire story. The 49ers offense couldn't score a single touchdown, barely sniffed the red zone, and looked completely outmatched at the point of attack. That wasn't about play calling, that wasn't about effort. That was about getting bullied in the trenches. And if you keep rolling out the same group and expect different results, you already know how that ends. This is where Tyler Linderbaum enters the conversation. If the 49ers go out and sign Linderbaum at center, that's not just a small upgrade. That's a needle-moving move. That's the type of signing that immediately changes how defenses have to play you. He's one of the best run-blocking centers in football, and that matters because everything Kyle Shanahan wants to do offensively starts with the run game, play action, motion, misdirection. None of that works if your interior line can't move people. Linderbaum finished near the top of the league among centers in run-blocking grades, and overall he ranked inside the top 5 at his position. He's athletic, he gets to the second level, and he consistently creates lanes for running backs. That's exactly what this offense has been missing the last 2 seasons. The 49ers used to impose their will on teams. Lately, they've been reacting instead of dictating. Let me ask you this right now. If you could only pick one, what would you rather see this offseason? Signing Linderbaum at center, drafting a starting guard early, or adding a young explosive wide receiver? Drop a B or C in the comments. I'm curious where you stand. Here's the part that really matters. Spending money at center actually makes more sense than spending big on a wideout. Kyle Shanahan has shown he can manufacture production from receivers. He's done it with mid-round picks, role players, and creative schemes. What he can't scheme around is immediate pressure up the middle. When the pocket collapses from the inside, everything falls apart. The run game stalls, play action disappears. Brock Purdy doesn't have clean throwing lanes. John Lynch already hinted that the team has more flexibility in free agency this year, especially after dealing with massive dead cap recently. If you're going to use that flexibility, use it on the offensive line. Go get your center, draft a guard early, build a wall in front of your quarterback. That's how you close the gap on teams like Seattle and the rest of the NFC, and Linderbaum doesn't just help in pass protection. He upgrades the run game immediately. He's a tone setter. He gives you consistency snap to snap. He helps Christian McCaffrey get downhill again. He allows Shanahan to open up the entire playbook. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe. We're pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you makes a difference because once you stabilize the offensive line, then you can start making smarter decisions at wide receiver. Which brings us to the emotional part of this offseason, a fan favorite, a locker room leader. A guy known as Third and Jauan. Up next, we're talking about Jauan Jennings, whether the 49ers can afford to keep him, and what his future in San Francisco really looks like. Now let's talk about one of the toughest decisions the 49ers are facing this offseason, because this one isn't just about football, it's emotional, it's personal, it's Jauan Jennings. If you've been watching this team the last few years, you already know what Jennings means to San Francisco. He's the definition of gritty. He shows up in big moments. He moves the chains when everyone in the stadium knows the ball is coming his way. That's why fans started calling him Third and Jauan. He earned that. He wasn't a highly drafted star. He worked his way up. He became a trusted target. He became a tone setter with his physical style of play. And that's what makes this so difficult. Jennings has been one of the great development stories in this organization. He blocks, he plays through contact, he makes contested catches. He's been money in pressure situations. Teammates love him, fans love him, coaches trust him. Those are not small things. But now reality sets in. Jennings is heading into free agency, and according to projections, he's expected to command serious money. We're talking north of $20 million per year on a multi-year deal. That's life-changing money for him, and honestly, good for him. He's earned the opportunity to cash in. The question is whether that makes sense for the 49ers. So I'm going to ask you directly, is Jauan Jennings worth a big money deal? Type yes if you'd pay him market value, type nitrogen monoxide if you'd let him walk. There's no wrong answer here, but I want to see where the faithful stands. Here's the hard part. The 49ers offense is already the oldest in the NFL. They've been very clear about needing to get younger and faster. As much as you love Jauan, bringing him back on a massive contract doesn't help with either of those goals. He's not a burner. He's not suddenly making the roster younger. What he brings is toughness, reliability, and culture. And sometimes, that still isn't enough in today's NFL. Brian Baldinger summed it up pretty well when he said that Jennings is a really good player, but not a true number one, and maybe not even a clear number two. He's replaceable from a skill set standpoint. You can find big-bodied receivers in the draft. You can find physical wideouts in cheaper free agency tiers. What you can't replace easily is what he means in the locker room. That's the balance the front office has to strike. It was also telling to see Jennings get emotional during locker room cleanout day. When he was asked about his time with the 49ers, he had to pause and collect himself. That didn't feel accidental. That felt like a player who knows this might be the end of his run in San Francisco. He's put his body on the line for this team. He's made huge plays. He understands what he's meant to the organization. But he also understands this might be his last chance to secure a major contract, and I don't blame him one bit. John Lynch publicly said he'd love to bring Jennings back, and that's exactly what you expect a general manager to say. It's respectful, it's supportive, but it doesn't mean it's realistic. Once Brock Purdy's contract kicks in, tough choices are coming. We already saw it with other players. More departures are on the way. If you're enjoying this kind of honest breakdown, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps keep this channel growing. So now we've laid it all out. Deebo rumors, offensive line priorities. Jauan Jennings' uncertain future. Up next, let's zoom out and put everything together. I'm going to walk you through what the 49ers offseason blueprint should actually look like, including realistic moves they can make to get back into Super Bowl contention. Now that we've walked through Deebo, the offensive line, and Jauan Jennings, it's time to zoom out and look at the big picture. What should the 49ers actually prioritize this offseason if the goal is getting back to the top of the NFC? To me, the blueprint is pretty clear. Step 1 has to be fixing the interior offensive line. That starts with center and continues with guard, whether that's Tyler Linderbaum in free agency, an early round guard in the draft, or ideally both. This team has to get tougher and more athletic up front. You can't run Kyle Shanahan's offense without winning in the trenches. Everything flows from there. The run game comes back. Play action becomes deadly again. Brock Purdy gets cleaner pockets. Suddenly, the entire offense looks different. If you agree with that direction, drop the word blueprint in the comments. I want to see how many of you are locked in. On building from the inside out, step 2 is getting younger and faster at wide receiver, but doing it smartly. That doesn't mean throwing big money at aging veterans just because their names are familiar. It means targeting speed and upside through the draft or finding value signings who can stretch the field. You already have a coach who knows how to scheme receivers open. Give him youth and explosiveness and let him cook. That's why I'd rather see San Francisco spend real money on a center than on a wideout. You can find receivers every year. You don't always get a chance to land a true difference maker on the offensive line. Step 3 is financial discipline. This is where being a contender gets complicated. Brock Purdy is now your franchise quarterback, and once that contract fully settles in, not everyone can stay. That's just how the NFL works. Emotional favorites become business decisions. The front office has to resist nostalgia and focus on roster balance. That might mean letting Jauan Jennings walk. It probably means passing on a Deebo reunion unless it's a very team-friendly deal. Let me throw this out to you. If you had to choose only one major move this offseason, what would it be? Signing an elite center, drafting a starting guard early, or adding a young explosive wide receiver? Drop a B or C in the comments. I'm tracking all of it. Now, there are really two paths the Niners could take. One is the aggressive route, go sign Linderbaum, draft a guard who can start right away, add a young receiver with speed. That's an all-in push to maximize the next 2 to 3 years of this core. The other is the more conservative route. Upgrade the line through the draft, add cheaper depth in free agency, let Jennings walk, and lean heavily into youth at wide receiver. That's more of a retool than a reload, but it keeps the cap cleaner long term. Either way, the priorities shouldn't change. Protect your quarterback, restore the run game, get younger on offense, everything else is secondary. Quick reminder, if you're getting value from this breakdown, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps build this community. So after laying out the blueprint, there's only one thing left to do. I'm going to give you my actual prediction. What I think the 49ers will do, not just what I hope they do. Who stays, who goes, and what move might surprise everyone that's coming up right now. So after breaking everything down, here's my honest prediction for how this offseason plays out. I don't think Deebo Samuel comes back to San Francisco unless it's on a short, team-friendly deal, and realistically, that probably doesn't happen. As much as fans would love the reunion, the 49ers need youth and speed, not another veteran contract tied to past production. I think the front office looks forward, not backward. I also believe Jauan Jennings tests the open market and ends up signing elsewhere. That's the hardest one emotionally, but it makes the most sense financially. Jennings deserves to get paid, and the 49ers simply can't justify committing over $20 million per year to a receiver who doesn't fundamentally change their speed profile. He'll always be remembered fondly in San Francisco, but this feels like one of those moments where business wins over sentiment. Where I do think the Niners get aggressive is up front. My prediction is that San Francisco makes a serious push to upgrade the interior offensive line, whether that's landing Tyler Linderbaum or addressing both center and guard through a combination of free agency and an early draft pick. They've seen what happens when the pocket collapses from the inside. They've watched their run game stall. They know everything in Kyle Shanahan's offense starts with winning in the trenches. That's where the money goes now. Could there be a surprise? Sure, maybe Jennings comes back on a shorter deal, maybe. Deebo becomes available at a price that's too good to pass up. But if you're asking me what's most likely, it's this. The 49ers prioritize protection, youth, and roster balance over big-name reunions. And honestly, that's exactly what a smart contender should do. Let me know where you stand. Which outcome do you think is most realistic? Re-signing Jauan Jennings, landing a top center, or pulling off a Deebo reunion? Drop a B or C in the comments, and if you agree with this direction, hit that like button. If you disagree, I want to hear why. Jump into the comments and let's talk it out. If you're new here, now's the perfect time to subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps me bring you daily Niners updates, deeper breakdowns, and non-stop off-season coverage. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next report. I truly appreciate you spending part of your day here with me. The off-season is just getting started, and there's going to be no shortage of rumors, moves, and surprises. Stick with the channel, and we'll cover it all together.